Good morning, everyone. Happy New Year. Thanks for joining me today. If you have a couple of blocks available, yoga blocks, you could also use like thick books, something like that, something that you have around the house. You might want to grab them for today's practice. We may or may not get to them, but it's nice to have them available. So we'll get started in just a few minutes. Again, like I said, if you have a couple of blocks, grab them. If not, that's fine. We may or may not use them anyway, but it's also nice to have the option. All right, guys, we'll get started in just a minute or so. If you have some blocks around your house or heavy books, big, thick books, something like that, that will work as an alternative, go ahead and grab that really quickly, and we'll be back soon. All right, hopefully you've made it back to your mat. Let's go ahead and lie down. We'll come onto your back and we'll bring the soles of the feet together, finding Supta Baddha Konasana. Start some deep breaths here. Focusing on the inhales and the exhales. Start to notice the breath. Expanding the belly. Pull the belly button into the spine on the exhale. Inhale, exhale. Maybe you want to add an intention to your practice today. Maybe bringing love and light to yourself or to another individual. Just like you might add an intention to your year. And take several more breaths here in this posture, letting the groins and the hips open. Take a few more breaths. And then you can leave the left leg where it is. Bring the right knee into your chest. I always like to start with just a gentle movement. Rotate the ankle, rotate around in that right hip. And then extending the right leg towards the ceiling. Press the hands into the leg, interlacing the fingers around the back of the right leg, either the thigh or the calf. And then press the leg into the fingertips and the fingertips back into the leg. Starting to just notice the awakening in the hamstring. And then either bring the sole of the left foot to the floor or extend the left leg long. Either one is fine for this. Flex the left foot if you have that left leg extended. Bring the right hand to the outer edge of the right foot. And then we're going to bring that right leg out to the right. Pull the toes towards your nose. Flex the foot. Notice the right kneecap lifts up. It's engaging that right quad. Opening out to the right. Keeping the hamstring engaged here once again. On your inhale, come to center. Bring the left hand to the outer edge of the right foot and cross the body so that the right leg extends over to the left. You can have the knee bent here if you need to. Beautiful. On your inhale, come back to center and interlace those fingers once again. Pull the toes down towards your nose. And we'll switch sides. Either plant the right foot on the mat or extending the right leg. Either one. Pull the left knee into your chest. And just find some movement. And then extending the left heel towards the ceiling. Pull the left toes towards your nose, interlace fingers around the left leg. Press hands into leg, leg into hands. Deep breaths. Beautiful. Bending that left knee. Just extend or reach out for bring the left hand to the outer left foot and extend that left leg out to the left. Again, opening the left side groin, opening the left hamstring. And if you're as lucky as I am, you can just rest your leg on the wall. It's pretty nice. Good. Come back to center. Replace the right hand onto the outer edge of the left foot. And then extending the left leg over to the right. Again, that knee can be bent. I can't quite straighten it here. It's a little too intense. So no worries. Beautiful. Bring that left leg back to center. Interlace the fingers once again behind the leg. Pull the left toes to your nose. And then let's bend both knees, pulling them into the chest. Find a gentle rock from side to side. And then hands underneath the thighs, rock and roll the length of the spine a couple of times. And let's land in Navasana, boat pose. Pull the belly button to the spine. You know your options here. Lift the heart up. Let's get a little longer, a little lower. A little longer, a little lower. Let's hover just the heels and shoulder blades barely off the mat. Low boat. Exhale, release all the way down. Bring the fingertips overhead so you're reaching towards the wall behind you. Point the toes. Exhale, relax everything into the mat. Inhale, extend, point the toes, reach through the fingertips. Exhale, release. Last one. Inhale, reach through those fingertips. Point through the toes, get long, stretching out. Exhale, release. Beautiful. Let's bring those hands underneath the thighs. Once again, rock and roll. Land in Navasana, boat pose, your options. Let's cross the ankles, plant the hands, find tabletop position. Start cat cows here, drop the belly, lift the heart. Exhale, curling the spine. Inhale, drop the belly. Exhale, curl. Adding any additional movement that feels right to you. Beautiful, guys. Come back to center. Bring the right knee towards the right wrist. Extend the left leg long. Set up for that pigeon pose. Go ahead and sink on down, bringing the elbows or palms onto the mat, letting the chin drop to the chest. Take some deep breaths. Beautiful, guys. Come back to your palms. Come up onto the left knee. You're just going to walk that right foot to the outside of the right hand. Yeah. So you're going to come down. Either you can rest here on your palms, keeping the right knee in, or you can rest on your elbows, keeping the right knee in or letting the right knee wing out to the right. Totally up to you. Depends on the intensity of this posture for you. All right, bring that right knee in if necessary. Bring the palms onto the mat and bring the right knee back to meet the left. We'll switch sides, bringing left knee towards left wrist. Extend that right leg long. Sink in. Resting on the palms or the elbows. Drop the chin to the chest. Find some deep breaths. All right, guys, come back to the palms. Reach the right toes under just so you can release that left leg and bring the left foot to the outside of the left hand. Again, you could stay here, right, with the knee into your left shoulder. You can drop to the elbows if you like. You can let the left knee wing out to the left if you like. It's totally up to you. Either way, just breathe and sink into the pose. Good. Press back to the palms. Bring the left knee in and bring the left knee back to meet the right. Let's tuck the toes, lift the hips, find downward facing dog. Start to pedal out, just shifting weight side to side. Whatever feels good here. Take a couple of breaths. Moving around. And then let's walk the hands back towards the heels or towards the toes. Bring the heels onto the mat. You can have your feet about hip width apart. Bend the knees so you can rest your belly on your thighs. And then grab the elbows. Let the head hang. Let's take a few breaths here. Maybe just rocking gently from side to side. Maybe you bend one knee and then the other. And then release the arms, walk the hands back to downward facing dog. Once you're there, take a look towards the top of the mat. Exhale to make your way there. Find a halfway lift, hands on shins. Exhale, belly to thighs. Reach and rise, come up. Fingertips reach up. Exhale, fold. Halfway lift, inhale. Plant those hands. Let's step back to plank. Hold it here. Press through the fingertips. Reach energy throughout those heels. Come forward onto the toes. Bend the elbows. Squeeze them in. Coming halfway down. Inhale. Rise up. Plank. Exhale. Downward facing dog. Take a breath. When you drop into that Chaturanga Dandasana, rather than sink the hips, I would prefer you to drop to your knees. So we'll do that one more time. I'll demonstrate that option for you. Inhale forward to plank. You can drop the knees. Lower down. Squeeze the elbows into your sides. Inhale, plank. Exhale, downward facing dog. Take a deep breath. And but downward facing dog on your inhale, rise that right leg high. Exhale, sweep the foot through between the hands. Rise up, inhale, spinning that back heel down, Virabhadrasana 2. Beautiful, reach that right leg up and back. Reverse Trikonasana, straightening that right leg, right big toe presses to the mat. Inhale, right arm reaches to the front of the mat. Left arm reaches high, Trikonasana. Beautiful, rise up, inhale. Turn the right toes to the left. Bring the hands to the sacrum, roll those shoulders back, interlace those fingertips. Exhale, fold in, leading with the heart. Sink the crown of the head to the mat. Reach the sit bones high. Turn the toes in slightly. Beautiful, hands to sacrum, fingertips underneath the shoulders, halfway lift. Lunge towards the top of your mat. Bring the left foot in about a third of the way. And the left heel onto the mat, setting up for pyramid pose. Press the right foot down into the mat. Press the right hip back. Reach the left hip forward. Lift the right kneecap up. Beautiful. Weight in the right foot. Extend the left leg out behind you. Left heel in line with the left hip. Exhale, left knee behind the right knee. Teeny tiny squat. Inhale, extend. Exhale, squat. Inhale, extend the leg. Exhale, squat. Beautiful. Inhale, extend that left leg long. And then bring the left toes to meet the right toes at the top of the mat. Halfway lift when you get there. Fold. Heel toe the feet out towards the edges of the mat. Sit the hips low. Find Malasana, squat pose. Press palms to elbows. Or press palms together, right? Rather. Press the elbows to knees, knees to elbows. Fingertips onto the mat, heel toe the feet back together, halfway lift. Fold. Reach and rise. Exhale, belly to thighs. Halfway lift, hands to shins. Plant those hands, step back. Lower down. Inhale, back bend. Exhale, Adho Mukha Savasana, downward facing dog. Take a moment to breathe. Good, inhale forward to plank. Lower down, Chaturanga Dandasana or knees. Inhale, plank. Exhale, down dog. Beautiful. We'll find another one of those. Inhale. Squeeze those elbows in as you lower down. Halfway. Press it back. Down dog. Take a breath. Inhale the left leg up and back. Exhale, sweeping the foot through. Spin that back heel down. Virabhadrasana 2. Heel arch alignment. Find the shoulders directly above the hips. Equal weight between the feet. Straighten that front leg, reverse. Inhale, reach with the left hand down, right arm reaches up. Roll that right shoulder back. Beautiful, rise up, inhale. Turn left toes to right, interlace fingers at the sacrum, roll the shoulders back. Sink in. Hands to sacrum, fingertips underneath the shoulders, halfway lift. Lunge. Right toes meet left. Halfway lift when you get there. Exhale, fold. Heel toe the feet out. Sit those hips low. Find Malasana, squeeze knees to elbows, elbows to knees. Beautiful. Fingertips onto the mat. Heel toe the feet back together. Halfway lift. Fold. Reach and rise. Exhale, belly to thighs. Halfway lift. Move through your vinyasa. We'll meet in downward facing dog. Take a breath here. Right leg rise on your inhale. Exhale, sweep it through. Spin that back heel down, veer two. Heel arch alignment. Press the right knee towards the top right corner of the mat. Reach with that right hand to the back of the room, straighten the right leg, open that right rib cage, reverse Trikonasana. And then right fingertips forward. Then down to the shin, left hand reaches up. Roll the left shoulders back. Beautiful, rise, inhale. Turn right toes to left, interlace fingers behind the sacrum. Roll the shoulders back. Exhale, sink in. Lift the sit bones up. Crown of the head reaches towards the mat. Beautiful. Release the hands to the sacrum. Bend into the right leg. And you may not come down this low, but then turn the left toes towards the sky. Yes, Skandasana. You can bring the hands to press at heart center. You can even use the right elbow to press the right knee open. Beautiful. Bring the hands to the floors underneath where the shoulders will be. Extend the legs long again. Sink the crown of the head. Inhale, halfway lift. Exhale, lunge. Bring the left toes to meet the right. Find a halfway lift when you get there. Exhale, fold, bend the knees. Come into a little teeny tiny squat. If you like, you can place the palms on the floor. Squeeze it, extending the fingertips wide. Lift the sits bones up. Maybe come forward into Bakasana, crow pose, lifting one toe and then the other off the mat. Take a deep breath. And then come back to the feet. Halfway lift, inhale. Fold. Reach and rise, come all the way up. Exhale, belly to thighs. Halfway lift, inhale. Plant the palms, step back, plank. Lower down, chaturanga. Inhale. Exhale, downward facing dog. Take a moment to breathe. On your inhale, reach the left leg high. Exhale, sweep it through. Spin the back heel. Open up, rise up, Virabhadrasana 2. Strong, powerful warriors. Straighten the front leg. Reverse Trikonasana. Reach with those left fingertips. Open that left rib cage. Should find space between each ribs. Inhale, reach. Forward. Then down. Trikonasana, triangle pose. Beautiful. Rise, inhale. Turn left toes to the right. Interlace fingers, roll the shoulders back. Lead with the heart, sink in. Good. Release the hands back to the sacrum. Bend into the left knee this time, turning left toes to this left top corner of the mat. Extend the right leg. Turn the right toes towards your nose. You may not sit this low. You may be up here. That's okay. Press palms to heart center. Use the left elbow to press the left knee open. Beautiful. Place the fingertips underneath where the shoulders will be as you rise up. Sink in. Lifting those sit bones once again. Reaching the crown of the head to the mat. Inhale, halfway lift. Lunge back towards the top of the mat. Bring the right toes to the left. Halfway lift. Exhale, fold, lift the heels, come into a little teeny tiny ball. And again, you can choose to take that option here where you're reaching the knees to the outsides of the shoulders. You're extending forward, lifting maybe one toe and then the other off the mat. Finding Bakasana, crow pose. And then feet back to the mat. Halfway lift. Inhale. Fold. Reach and rise. Exhale. Belly to thighs. Halfway lift. Plant the hands. Step back, plank. Or move through your vinyasa. We'll meet in down dog. And let's drop the knees. Untuck the toes, find child's pose. Forehead on the mat. Hips towards the heels. Sink in. Take another breath here. And then come back to tabletop. Cross the ankles, sit behind them. Extend the legs long on your mat. Find the sit bones directly on the mat. Inhale, reach the fingertips high. Exhale, lean forward. Move the heart towards the top of the mat. And then you can just bring the palms down wherever they land. Maybe you can grab your feet, maybe not. Regardless, you're pressing the heart towards the top of the mat, not down towards the legs. Try to keep the length in that hamstring. Rise back to vertical spine. Bring the legs wide. Again, finding both sit bones directly on the mat. Reach the fingertips up. Exhale, fold forward, leading with the heart. Pull the toes towards your nose. Notice the engagement in the hamstrings and the quads. And resting with palms on the mat, elbows on the mat, something just so you can find some semblance of a break or rest. On your inhale, rise back to vertical spine. If you have not turned on your mat like I did, so you're lengthways, you may want to do that now. Bring the legs in, just cross the ankles for now. Roll onto the knees. And the knees are going to be wide here. You can keep the big toes together. That's a little less intense. For a little bit more intensity, you'll bring the legs out, and the feet will be right behind the knees. So you're feeling a lot of activity going on in the groin. You can rest on the hands or the elbows. And now again, remember that there's this little cheater spot here where if you move too far in one direction, it doesn't feel like much. So you've got to make sure you're not cheating yourself. You should have a groin stretch. Few more deep breaths. You might even notice that the knees start to slip a little further away from each other. As your groin stops screaming as loudly as it once did. But it takes time. Press back to your palms. Bring the big toes together. Bring the knees together. Roll the hips to one side. Extend the legs. Lean back on the sit bones. Find Navasana, boat pose. Get a little longer. Get a little lower. Get a little longer. Get a little lower. Hover just your knee or heels and shoulder blades barely off the mat. Exhale, release all the way down. Beautiful. Reach the heels up towards the ceiling. You can grab the outsides of the mat for a little bit more leverage. And if you have one of those blocks, this is helpful to have. If you have a book, like I suggested earlier, don't use a book because that'll actually hurt. And if you have a cork block, you may not want to use that either. You can bring the block to the bottoms of the feet as your feet are extended. It'll work even if your knees are bent. So the idea here is to not drop the block on your face. Again, why I told you not to use anything heavy for this part. If you don't have a block that's light, don't do it. Reach the heels straight up towards the ceiling. And try not to drop the block on your face. Have 10 of these. Lifting the hips off the mat. The toes don't come towards your face. I want you to lift your feet straight up. That uses the muscles right under your belly button where we often get the little pouch We're trying to take care of that pouch. And when you're ready, when you're done with those 10, remove your block. Just bring the soles of the feet to the mat. Just take a moment to breathe. And let's find another set of those. Bringing the block to your feet or not. Just start to press the feet directly towards the ceiling. Lift those feet up 10 times. And then rest with the soles of the feet on the mat. Take another breath here. Hands underneath the thighs, rock and roll. Land in Navasana. Cross the ankles, plant the hands. Stand up. Uncross the legs. Rest the belly on the thighs. Wrap the arms around the legs. I like to just put my right hand on my right ankle and my left hand on my left ankle. And then you'll just, I call these butt bounces, you'll just straighten and bend the knees. Notice how you're lifting the sit bones up towards the sky, lengthening the hamstrings, and then you're just coming back in. Take a couple more. Beautiful. And then bend the knees, lift the heels off the mat, find that little teeny tiny squat, nose towards the knees. And then if you choose, plant the hands, separate the knees, lift the hips up. Press the heart or head towards the top of your mat. Maybe lift one toe off the mat, maybe the other. See if you can bring those toes together. Find a little balance in your hands. Always looking forward, not looking down, not looking between the legs. And finding your feet back on the mat. One thing I didn't show you with the blocks, it is kind of cool too if you have blocks at home, you can practice this. You'll stand on the blocks and you'll do Bakasana crow pose from there because your hips and your feet are already lifted. It's a little easier to get your feet up off the mat. So that's kind of fun. All right. Let's come back to the top of our mat. If you have blocks, go ahead and bring them behind the feet, maybe a little wider than hip width apart. So you're standing at the top of your mat. Blocks are a little wider than hip width on the mat. You can separate those feet just a tiny bit more. Sink in. And whether you have blocks or not, you can come here. You can bring the hands Onto the blocks, sit the hips low, arms underneath each knee. So one arm, left arm comes under left knee, right arm comes under left right knee. Sit. Yeah, like you've made a little shelf, bending the arms so you can make a little shelf for yourself to squat and sit in. Yep. See how that works? And then maybe you feel like you can bring some weight into the hands. The fingertips should be facing forward towards the top of your mat, by the way. Don't press those fingertips back, which is some people's tendency. That can actually bring a little too much extension and pain into the wrist. So give it a try. I'll give you a second. And come out whenever you're ready, of course. And then let's take a break. Let's just go ahead and bring the feet together. Belly onto the thighs. Grab the elbows. Reach the sit bones high. Let the crown of the head sink down. All right. Good job. Release the arms. Halfway lift. Exhale, fold belly to thighs. Again, heel toe the feet out to a little wider, maybe than hip width apart. Bring left arm under left knee, right arm under left right knee. Maybe bring those hands onto blocks or onto the mat. Find your shelf. And maybe you can lift one foot and put it down. Maybe you find you can lift the other foot. Put it down. Maybe you realize you can lift both feet off the mat. And then take a break. Find some breaths here. So you can do what we just did. Or we can go into the arm balance. And if you don't get there, it's okay. We'll do it on our back too. I should have done that first, but I didn't. So we're going to do that after. But we'll get there. So find that squat, bringing the left hand underneath the left knee, right arm underneath the right knee, maybe lifting one foot, maybe the other. If you like, you can lift both feet. Straighten the legs any amount. Press knees into the elbows, elbows into the knees. Lift up. Look forward. And whenever you're ready, you can release. Coming out of the posture. Setting those blocks aside. Coming back onto the mat. Bring the hands to face you on the mat. It doesn't matter if you're on your knees or you're in a seated position. Maybe on your knees is a little easier. Fingertips face you. And you can stretch out those wrists. And then come back to sit on your heels. Interlace the fingers. Press the palms towards the ceiling. Beautiful, guys. Shift the hips. Come on to your back. Rolling down. Pull the knees into your chest. Find a gentle rock from side to side. Come back to stillness in the center. Separate the knees and bring the palms to press. Bring the elbows between the knees. Press the palms on the ceiling. Find that Bakasana, so head and shoulders off the mat like you're in that Bakasana crow pose. Inhale, extend the legs long, handstand supine. Exhale, squeeze it in, supine bakasana. Inhale, extend, handstand, heels and shoulder blades off the mat. Exhale, squeeze. And then inhale, bring the knees into the chest. Let's take a couple breaths. Good. Reach the head and shoulder off the mat. Bring the hands to heart. We're pressing the palms together, elbows to knees, knees to elbows. And then let's bring the left arm underneath the left knee. Bring the right arm underneath the right knee. You got it. Palms press on the ceiling. That's your floor. Head and shoulders lift. So you can do that supine Titivasana by extending the legs. So they're reaching towards the top or bottom of your mat, towards your head. Yeah. Stretching out the groins, the arms now, and the legs. And when you're ready, release, bringing everything onto the mat, extending the legs long. Just take a breath. Beautiful, guys. Soles of the feet on the mat. Cross the left ankle over the right knee. Bring the sole of the left foot to the floor on your right. Reach the left arm and gaze to the left. Take some deep breaths. And your inhale, come back to center. Soles of both feet on the mat. Pull them heels close to your glutes, arms down at your sides, palms face down. And lift the hips, pressing into the feet. Roll the shoulders under. Find a bridge pose, pressing the hips towards the ceiling. On your exhale, slowly sink the hips back to the mat. And cross the right ankle over the left knee. Bring the sole of the right foot to the floor on your left. Inhale to center. Soles of both feet down. Setting up for another bridge or whatever back bend might be in your practice. Press into the feet to lift the hips. Stay for 3 deep breaths. And lower down slowly. Letting the feet go wide, let the knees knock together. Bring the arms overhead. So you can either grab your elbows, but if the elbows are lifted, you'll just separate them so that the elbows can rest on the mat. Extend the legs long. Walk the upper body to the right. And then walk the legs over to the right. You can cross the left ankle over the right. And you'll just feel a lengthening all the way from the left armpit all the way down to that left ankle. And your inhale, walk the upper body back to center. Uncross the ankles, walk the ankles back to the left. And then upper body to the left. And crossing right ankle over left if that serves you. Again, noticing space between each rib. Lengthening on that right side. Start to walk the upper body to center. And cross the ankles. And walk the feet back to center, separating the feet wide. Toes turn out towards the edges of the mat. Arms at your sides, palms face up. Tuck the shoulder blades beneath the heart. Shavasana. All right, guys, I'm going to leave you here in your final and most important pose. I do want to share some good news while you're resting. We are finally get to go back to the Snowpack. I've missed you all so much. So I will see you there in person Saturday morning next week, a week from today, 10 a.m., bright and early. I am so happy to see you. Namaste.